Breaking the Silence is a podcast that dives into the intricate and often challenging topics of grief and loss within relationships. Through insightful discussions, the podcast aims to explore how pain can be transformed into purpose, leading to healing and growth. By addressing themes such as inner child work and the journey towards feeling alive once more, this podcast offers a beacon of hope for those navigating difficult emotions. Ultimately, Breaking the Silence aims to guide listeners towards moving forward and embracing all the blessings that life has in store as they embark on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual fulfillment. I'm your guide through this journey, Renee Wallace, and I invite you to join me as we break the silence surrounding grief and loss, transforming pain into purpose and finding hope in the healing power of storytelling.
Hello, my beautiful friends. I'm so happy to be back here with you recording. And actually, to be quite honest, really sort of filled with a lot of emotions today. I'm not quite sure why. I guess I do know why in a way. I don't know. It's so funny. Grief can just sort of, you can go along and you're great and everything's good. And then it sort of hits you some days, right? So today is one of those days where I'm just feeling sad, really sad and missing people. And, I could very easily choose to not record, but I've learned enough in my own journey and in the growth and the work that I've done and what I teach even my coaching clients. We can sit in those emotions. And it's what I'm also trying to teach my children. So that doesn't mean we can just say, hey, yeah, I'm sort of sad today, and allow ourselves to feel it, not just try and, brush it off or ignore it, or, somebody asks how you're doing and being like, oh, I'm good, I'm great, No, just really just owning what you feel. And so being able to sit with those emotions and just sort of honor them within my body and almost breathe into them. So, just taking the deep breath and just allowing it to be what it is and not ignoring it, because that does not serve me well. That does not serve you well. Suppressing our emotions does not help. So anyways, we're just going to honor the fact that there's some emotions today. I'm feeling a little sad, but also so excited. And maybe that is even the mix of the emotions of coming back to talk with you and start another season. So I'm super excited about this. So let's sort of jump in, get something to drink if you want, and let's just chat. So I want to talk about attachment theory and attachment styles. That has become such a huge thing for me, just an eye-opener. And I want to share a little bit about even what ended up bringing me to being so intrigued by this, so curious, wanting to learn so much. I actually met someone, and it was incredible. I felt in the beginning, I felt very seen and heard. They helped me so much through really hard times. And they were just there, and they made me laugh and just all the things, all the amazing things. And it was really, really good. And then there came a point that it got sort of confusing. Push me away. There was a lot of push-pull dynamic there, needing space, pushing me away, then coming close again. And so that sort of felt a whole lot like a roller coaster ride. And I very much found myself becoming, not realizing it at the time, but now seeing it. I mean, maybe I sort of did. Um, Very anxious because when somebody's pushing away and you're not sure what's going on or what happened or whatever, um, you are very confused. I think that is exactly how I should describe it. I was just super, super confused. And so somehow I just think God is really good in this way because it's not like I was really knew even where to begin to search for answers. I just was like confused. Like, do they like me? Don't they like me? Is this just a game? Am I just there to like validate them? Are they just, whatever. But anyways, somehow I stumbled across, well, I know I was on TikTok and I love TikTok for learning all kinds of stuff and started learning, about these cycles or patterns or whatever, and about attachment theory. And when I started watching some videos and people explaining things, I was like, oh my gosh, like this sounds just like me. This sounds just like my situation. And so that took me on like this whole huge deep dive of learning about it and learning about my attachment style, learning about their attachment style. And it all was just like the pieces of the puzzle were just falling in place. Now, I will say it took a really long time, even still, for me to figure out all that. Because, yeah, you stumble across and you figure out your attachment style. And maybe the person that you are talking to or that you care about or whatever, and theirs. But you also have to be willing. So there's the awareness of it, like, oh my gosh, I totally see for me now. And then, I started reading all kinds of books and just everything I could get my hands on, like learning. But if we can learn and we can be aware, but if we aren't applying and like choosing to heal the wounds that are causing those behaviors or those patterns, then it doesn't really matter. So it has definitely been a journey and a process learning, and I'm still working on that, learning to reparent my inner child so that I am I can be what's called earned secure. So here's the good thing about attachment styles. They are not like written in stone. It's forever this way. It's never going to change. They are what we were taught in childhood. And I'm going to go deeper into this, but I at least wanted to let you know what even brought me to this point of wanting to and being so passionate about it now. Because really, when I wrapped my mind around this, I'm like, oh my gosh, this explains my whole entire life. It just made everything make complete sense. And I lost my train of thought there. So anyways, you have to go back and reparent your inner child. And that's what I was going to say. So these are learned from our caregivers and how our caregivers interacted with us, how they showed up for us or how they didn't show up for us. And we learned it. And so we can relearn something new. God put this within us. God designed us for connection and relationship. And so it is naturally within us. It's just we didn't see it modeled for us, so we don't know how to do it, but we can relearn how to do it. We can go back and reparent our inner child and earn security and then be able to show up in relationships in a healthy way. So with that said, I thought I would give you a little bit of background on attachment theory and where it came from. So it's been studied for like many, many, many years. Like this one that I'm going to talk about, this started in like she did this in 1970s. But even before that, I believe his name is Balbzi, if I'm saying that right. I don't know. He was studying even in the 1937. He did a study. But in the one in 1970, Dr. Ainsworth was studying, she did what was called the strange situation. And one thing I will recommend is a couple books. Attached is an amazing book, and I don't have it in front of me right now to tell you the author. I will put that in the notes of the show, the description. I think it's Amir. Oh my goodness, I don't want to tell you wrong. Amir Levine. Amir Levine, I'm pretty sure, but I will put that in the notes. And then this book that I have now, The New Rules of Attachment by Dr. Judy Ho. I love, love, love this book. I highly recommend. I really liked Attached too. That was the very first book that I read that really, I feel like made it very easy to understand. But this New Rules of Attachment is incredible because, well, for many reasons. But what I really like, so it says here, how to heal your relationships, reparent inner child, and secure your life vision. I love it because she really gives very tangible, like things to do to reparent your inner child. And I mean, simple, like I'm going to give you one as an example. Say that you never really played as a child, or maybe you don't really remember what it's like to have fun. Maybe you've always been like work, and always doing, feeling like you had to do to prove your worth, or for whatever reason, like you just needed to do. Like one thing she gives in there is go and find things that you really loved as a child. Or if you're like me, and maybe you couldn't remember a lot of things that you did as a kid. I did remember like coloring, but like I feel like I had a hard time remembering like fun things I did as a kid, like going back and doing those things for yourself now. So like going to the park and swinging on the swings, or going and buying a coloring book and crayons and coloring, or bubbles to blow bubbles. And that is just going back and letting yourself, that maybe when you were a kid that you had to grow up really, really fast, and then you've always just been like working and doing and all the things your whole life. It's just giving you that opportunity to connect with that inner child again and just have fun and just be. If that is anything that would want you to take, one of the things I would want you to take from this time today even is just learning to just be. I think a lot of us can get very wrapped up in the doing, always being busy. Because for many reasons. One, we might wrap our self-worth up in that. Like if we're achieving playing in sports, if we're achieving at work, if we're achieving creating things, like that says something about who we are. We think it does. When in all actuality, we are created to just be and be in connection with God and just slow down and enjoy everything around us. So I would encourage you to focus on just trying to be for a change and not always be busy. And I think the other thing I missed that I was going to say about us always doing, like, yes, achieving, doing, but it also is a way for us to avoid our feelings. Because if we're busy, if we're distracting, we don't ever have to look at anything, right? I know for me, I'm guilty of that. Maybe a feeling comes up and I don't really want to deal with it right then, you know? So it's easier just to shove it down and get busy doing something else and not have to think about it. But again, that does not serve us well. So anyways, with this study, it's called The Strange Situation. And she puts these children, the study was that these children were between the ages of 9 and 18 months, and she took them to an unfamiliar environment and wanted to see how they would respond. So the things that they were looking at, and they had like the parent with them in the beginning, and then the parent left the room. You know, just sort of think about like if you took your kid to childcare or whatever, you know, you take them and leave them in a room. And this does make me very much think about that, like how I would take my kids to the nursery for church or whatever. But anyways, so she was looking for different things. She was looking for the amount of exploration that the child would engage in, such as playing with new toys, the child's reaction to their caregiver's departure, and then the child's reunion behaviors with their caregiver when they came back. And the last thing that she was looking at is the child's reactions to strangers when they are alone without their caregiver. And so what she found, she ended up finding like 4 different styles, and I'm going to share those with you.
So the first one is secure. they feel safe and confident in the relationships. They tend to be excellent communicators. They have very good communication skills. They trust other people, and they're comfortable with closeness and can also depend on others, while at the same time they are dependable, or, people can depend on them, basically. The anxious attachment, those individuals, they often worry about their relationships and fear abandonment. They crave closeness and constant reassurance, and sometimes feel overly dependent on people. And this basically stems from their caregivers who were inconsistent in the responses. Sometimes there, sometimes not there. And so that caused that anxious feeling. The dismissive avoidant, they tend to keep others at a distance and struggle with intimacy. They value their independence so much and might feel uncomfortable with too much closeness or emotional expression. They just aren't really sure what to do with that. And this style often develops from having caregivers who were emotionally unavailable or rejecting. And that can be in lots of different ways for each of these. But maybe say with the avoidant, it can even be that maybe the parents were just very wrapped up in their own lives, or, just weren't emotionally there to meet their kids. And we'll go in deeper into each of those, as we talk about the individual attachment styles. But I just want to give an overview of these right now. And then the disorganized attachment, this one is a bit of a mix. They tend to show unpredictable behaviors in relationships. So, for example, maybe with the study, the child might be really sad one minute and then very angry at their parents the next. Just they weren't consistent in how they responded. They have intense emotions and might struggle with both seeking closeness and fearing it. So they want the closeness, but they also are afraid of the closeness. And then the disorganized attachment can result from chaotic or traumatic early experiences with their caregivers.
So these attachment styles, whether secure, dismissive avoidant, anxious, or disorganized, none of them make a person inherently good or bad. It is just what they learned as a child. And then how that plays out in adulthood is that because that's what we knew, that's what we then continue to do in our future relationships. So with that said, even though it doesn't make us good or bad, it does very much influence whether you believe that you are fundamentally good or bad. So it very much creates the beliefs around yourself and around myself. Whether you believe because of this and because of what you experienced in childhood, what you learned, that you're unlovable, that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough. So none of these it doesn't make somebody good or bad, but it does very much create what you believe about yourself. Okay, so what I do want to wrap up this episode so that it's not super long. And what I would encourage you to walk away from with this episode is that secure attachment, excuse me, is absolutely where we want to be. And all being secure and all the benefits of it are achievable at any age. It does not matter what age or what stage of life you're in. You can achieve it. And you don't have to wait for the perfect situation or perfect circumstances. You get to choose at any point, like, hey, I'm going to heal this and heal these past wounds and, create a better future for yourself. And so with that, from there, first you have to determine, and I'm sure you're probably wondering now, like, I wonder what my attachment style is. Or maybe you already know. Funny, I thought I knew, and I was wrong, and I will share mine, I'm sure, along the journey of what mine actually is. But you might be wondering, like, what your attachment style is. And I will put a quiz, a link for a quiz that you can go to and determine your attachment style. And of course, we'll go, like I said, we'll go more into each of the different attachment styles in the future. And then I just want to touch real quick back on the person that I said that I met, that and where that sort of, there can be more of that story. But I'm super, super thankful. And I was from the start, like not in the very moment, not when you're super confused and you're like, what in the world is going on? I'm so confused. I don't understand anything. Like just feeling like on a complete roller coaster. But I am so, so thankful for that person now, because they taught me so much. Like if it wasn't for that person, I don't know when I would have figured this out. I don't know when I would have stumbled across this. And God was just so gracious and so good to allow that person into my life. And then for me to learn about this. And now I get to share it with you. And I hope that you, if you are not already a secure attachment, that you will begin to heal your own wounds too, and know that you can have healthy relationships and be able to express your feelings and communicate and be emotionally available. So I am so glad to be back here with you, and I hope that you learned something from this today, found some value in it. I send you off with so much love, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Breaking the Silence. As we conclude our time together, let us carry forward the stories we've heard, the emotions we've shared, and the connections we've forged. Remember, the journey through grief and loss is not one we walk alone. In the silence, we find solidarity. In our shared experiences, we find strength. And in our vulnerability, we find resilience. If you or someone you know is navigating the complexities of grief, know that there is support available. Reach out, lean on your community, and remember that healing is not linear. It's a journey, and you are not alone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for being a part of this community. Until next time, may you find peace in the spaces between the silence.